Today I want to attempt to fix Palpatine's role and the Dyad in the Rise of Skywalker so that it has much more significance to the overall plot without feeling like those aspects were arbitrarily placed in the film because Snoke was gone. First, we will be removing Rey's familial bond to Palpatine and making more sense of the Dyad as well, and also adding some minor additional dialogue. So, starting off, there is zero reason for Rey to have a bloodline connection to Palpatine. The basic plot can literally stay the same, however, what is now important will be the fact that Palpatine, by proxy of Snoke, knows that Kylo and Rey do form a dyad from the get-go of this movie, and that word, dyad, will have to be brought up much earlier than the middle of the film. In my revision, Palpatine's ultimate goal will be rejuvenating himself with the power of the Dyad so that he can once again dominate the galaxy. Now, that is what almost happens, but rather than it be accidental, it was the prime motivation of the decrepit Palpy. Everything he has done is to prepare for this renewal. That might sound excessive, waiting 30 years for this, but we're talking about Palpatine who orchestrated the Clone Wars and his rise to power. Now, the other important aspect to this is to change a bit of dialogue with Palpatine and Kylo Ren in the opening. Palpatine, rather than suggesting that Kylo just kill Rey, should continue the motif that Snoke had with "bring her to me," while Kylo is just unaware of the significance of actually doing that. Kylo would then go on to ask Palpy, "Why is she so special?" or something along those lines, and Palpatine would say, "No, my boy, you both create something far more powerful than I could ever be. This will all be yours, and you both will sit on the throne of the Sith, ruling the galaxy. This has been your destiny since birth. You can feel it, can't you?" I think that would be pretty cool. Now, I apologize for my terrible dialogue, but you see where I'm heading. So rather than Kylo mindlessly trying to kill Rey, or at least appearing like he wants to in the first act, Kylo's prime motivation is still to have his new empire with Rey at his side. And this really aligns with TLJ a lot, but it's about Kylo convincing Rey that her future lies with him and the Sith throne. And we could also play into their versions of seeing themselves on the throne as well. We saw a bit of that in the movie with Rey. Now, one other thing I'd like to add is Kylo has been searching for knowledge regarding how he and Rey achieved what they did through space and time, their Force bond, not buying what his old master Snoke told them. There had to be something more to it, and this could be something placed into the opening crawl, which was hilarious. For example, the dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of late Emperor Palpatine. General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence, while the Resistance prepares for a final battle against the diabolical First Order. Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rages in search of this phantom Emperor, while learning the true nature of his bond with the last Jedi, Rey. With Palpatine telling Kylo that both he and Rey form something far more powerful than they could imagine, and Kylo learning about this lore, now it's not exactly as random when we get to Kylo's second offer to Rey aboard his Star Destroyer. Now, to backtrack, rather than have the insert of Vader's helmet during Rey's training scene in the opening of the movie, I would also replace the helmet with an ancient book of the Sith as an analog to the sacred Jedi texts. And there, in Kylo's white chambers of glory, Kylo Ren would discover what he and Rey are on those pages. They are the power of life itself, the Dyad in the Force. Now he knows what they are. And I also hear in my mind, Kylo reading this lore and saying under his breath that this isn't possible. After all, Kylo is a curious guy and was very much so confused by their first bond in The Last Jedi. So finding out the true nature of it would arguably be just as confusing for him. And this would start Kylo's understanding of what Palpatine is truly up to, potentially making sense of Kylo's throwaway line about having other plans. I mean, we never truly even know what that statement means or turns into at the end. Maybe I missed something, and you can tell me down below. So now in this revision, we know that the Dyad was what Palpatine was coveting from the get-go to rejuvenate himself. Rey and Kylo were never his true goal regarding his final order to succeed him, but just the backup in case he failed at rejuvenation. And I also think it makes Ben Solo's turn and urgency to get to Rey, who is now in Exegol, all the more compelling. He knows it's possible that by going to Exegol that he's again playing back into Palpatine's plans. But if he doesn't go, then Rey sacrifices herself, becoming the new heir to the Sith, dooming the galaxy into darkness again, like Kylo Ren had for a couple of years. Everything we do see regarding the lightsaber handoff and Kylo fighting Slipknot remains the same, and when they finally come together, Rey and Kylo, to face Palpatine, rather than the random line, "Stand together, die together," we get something with a bit more pause in it. I'd imagine Palpatine would say something along the lines, "Now you know the nature of what you are, and now I will take it." And basically, the rest of this movie goes on as planned. Kylo gets yeeted off a cliff, Rey faces Palpatine. However, in my headcanon, the whole ending of this is the fan-made Force Ghost end scene, and then Rey dies and is revived by her soulmate, Ben Solo. Now, I also wish that Rey, upon revival, said, "This isn't possible," mimicking Kylo from earlier in my version of this film regarding the Dyad. And before Ben's death, he would smile, rather than a kiss, and says, "Two souls that are one," which then gives us a good reason for Ben Solo passing away after this moment. Ben Solo passed on whatever remained of the Dyad back into Rey, leaving him literally empty, but not necessarily in the eyes of the Force. Hence why he faded away into the light. Ben used the power of life itself, his life, for her. And yeah, it's still a bittersweet end for Ben and Rey, but in my eyes, it just feels more impactful. So that's really it. I hope that this all made a lick of sense. If it didn't, tell me down below. Totally fine. Again, if you found this movie absolutely perfect, that's incredible. Don't let my revision get you down. But for me, this is how I would have changed things to make certain story beats more impactful and meaningful for myself. So, may the Force be with you, and the AT-AT is signing off.